So the game Flipping Entitled is a bidding game for 4 to 7 players and lasts roughly 20 to 30 minutes. It is a bidding game where instead of normally only the winner or everybody gets something, there will be a few COE available, and whoever wins the COE will only pay the minimum. So if there are 2 COE available for the round, all the bid winners will only pay the second highest. The people who did not win any bids though, however, will be able to take something called connections, which are these cards over here. And so, for example, in a 4-player game, something like this will be available. Okay. In this case, only the top 2 winners will be able to choose the CO, which are these 2 over here. The final 2 bidders will take one of these connection cards, which they can play at any time later on to help them do something. So for example, if player 1 bids 5, player 2 bids 8, player 3 bids 3, and player 4 bids 1. What will happen first is the bid winners, which is player 1 and 2, will actually only pay the minimum, which was 5. So even though somebody else bid 8, he will still only pay 5. However, the highest bidder will always get to select first. The points actually are written over the top right hand corner, so over here and here. So aside from the points over here, you can also gain points through having certain collections, selling them, or even following the trend and having this collection at the end of the game. The round order is pretty simple. First things first, you just reveal COE, and then you just make a closed bid. So a closed bid is that you will just hide the amount of money you are bidding in your hand, and then you will make the bid. As stated earlier, the bid winners will only pay the lowest bid. If they choose not to bid, they can choose to pass, but they will have to skip their bidding phase the next turn, which means it will be considered a pass. On top of that, players who did not win any bid will be able to sell up to 1 COE they own back into the bank at the current price. Which means if players have overbid this round at like 10, if you had bought a COE earlier at a cheaper price at 3, you would be able to sell it at a profit of 7. So what is COE? COE stands for Certificate of Entitlement. Certificate of Entitlement is a certificate you can get from the government to actually own a car in Singapore. So in Singapore, you actually have to bid for your COE through this government system, at which you only need to pay the minimum bid. So even if you bid very high, you only need to pay the minimum. So this is what the game is actually based on. The name is called Flipping Entitled because, first of all, it's a play on words talking about how entitled Singaporeans can be, or people in general. And also because you're actually flipping certificates of entitlement later on through the game by selling them. So you buy and sell, and that is flipping. Another reason why it's called Flipping Entitled is because rich people obviously will have huge connections, which are over here. So you have a lot of different things, like you have your bank VP, your media mogul, and of course, the most important connection of all, your parents, which is quite a big thing in Asian society. So that is one of the big connections. So obviously, because it's a game, we cannot have it purely as just COE. And so there are these cars which will also be part of the COE. So when you buy a COE, you're buying COE for the car, and it's represented by these things. So in each COE, you will have a value, which is the one in the square box, the brand, which is over here, the model of the car, and the color. So there'll be 4 variables you'll have to take a look at. So in a sense, it's a bit of a set collection, but at the same time, it's also about valuation. So the game ends once you have either reached the 8th, 9th, or 10th round, depending on how many players there are. Whoever has the most money at the end of the game will win. So how you count money at the game is, you see the value of the car over here. That will be worth $2 at the end of the game. For your collections, if let's say you've made any of the collections, you just add that to the end. And for your trends, if you have the most in that trend, for example, SUVs is a trend for the game, you score bonus 9. If you are second, you score 6. And if you're third, you will score 3. If there's a tie, you will add the things together and divide equally, round it down. Okay, and then that is the end of this pitch. So thank you very much for watching this video.